Okay, so I'll start the panel since it's 10 o'clock and I'm really on time with stuff. So Honi is our village coordinator.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Honi is our village, DEF CON village lead coordinator. So is Pedro. So is Ray's in the back tweeting because emails just came through. And do you want full names or what are we doing? So Tom, ICS Village lead. Justin, Car Hacking Village. Nina, Biohacking Village. Muteki, Blue Team Village. Do you want your real name? Cassandra from Red Team Village?
That's me. My real.
Oh, I'm sorry. Savannah. This is my life now. Savannah, Red Team Village. Do you want your real name?
Yes.
Matt, Aerospace. Now, Honi, what questions do you have for us, or do we self-moderate?
Go for it.
Why do we do what we do? What is the point of the villages? Or actually, we should do, what do the villages do? What's the mission, vision, blah, 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 blah.
I can start. I have a really adorable little story that I want to tell. So Blue Team Village has been around for about 7 years. This is our 7th year. We started, as a ragtag bunch of different people who decided to throw a village together and had no idea what the hell they were doing, which is how DEF CON works in general, right? That's a thing. We've been around for a few years. Over the pandemic, we had to go virtual for DC 28. And around that time, we started a mentoring program. So met a lot of different people from all over the world, got to do some remote events, talks, things like that. So this year, one of our first speakers was actually someone who I had met who was from India and then kind of like progressed in their career with some help in the mentoring program. And he actually gave a talk at Blue Team Village, did a really awesome job. And I got to give him an intro, which was really cool. But what really stuck out to me is like, the villages are communities in themselves. They're organizations within DEF CON that really help bring people together based on common interests. And being able to provide that space for someone to like learn and grow, to network within the community, and then be able to progress their career to speak is just like, I get a little like crazy, so sometimes planning all this stuff and then watching it come together, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And then like I get to see someone who has grown because of what we do, and that's like the fucking coolest thing. So that's why I do this.
I can add to that because I 100% agree with you. This is my 5th year running Car Hacking Village. Car Hacking Village has been around for 10 years. One of the biggest things I really encourage is trying to get younger people or newer people into this industry. Over the last 3 years, I've brought new people that weren't even security people at all. They were just tech people that are interested. Some of them from ages 17 to 20. And now 2 of them have jobs in security and come here every year and are part of helping the village. So similar to her, this is the reason why I do this, is to grow the communities and to grow the next versions of the, us and people who can ensure that the world's going to be secure in the future. I really care about cyber physical systems, as probably most of us up here on this panel do. So that's why I do what I do. I've also worked some in aerospace, but I just want to make sure the vehicles and stuff you guys are getting into are somewhat safe, and trying to make the people up top care a little bit. It's kind of hard sometimes, but yeah, I do it for the people.
Yeah, I guess I have to agree with what they were saying too. I think whenever there's a lot of like new students or people in general that come to DEF CON and they want to learn the specific niches. So like all of us are obviously in specific niches in these cybersecurity space. And for example, like I have a friend, it's like a family friend of a friend, but he had come to DEF CON, had never been to anything like this. And he already had spoken to someone on Friday offering them an internship like within the village, and like being able to provide that space where people can network and meet people is, I would say, anything in any industry, especially in ours, networking is so important, but then also giving a space to be able to have people grow like their offensive security skills, and then also kind of take that over to other villages to learn other areas too.
Okay, so I guess mine's a little bit different because I'll start off with, I'm a pilot, and there's a joke in there where like, how do you know you're at a party with a pilot? They'll tell you. So that's how I start all my talks. But the qualifier there is when I get in airplanes, when I'm flying them, I want to be comfortable with, the risks that are inherent with just flying any airplane, and not anybody on the ground or anybody in the back of the airplane doing anything that they shouldn't be. And so I want to make sure the people on board my airplane are safe. But one of the things that we find in the Aerospace Village is while mentoring is fantastic, we are just struggling to get the companies to show up, the manufacturers, the people that build the systems in the airplanes. Everybody's got their silos. Everybody wants to keep everything to be black boxes. And so we are really trying to get the manufacturers and all of those other companies involved and talking about the systems that they have on board the airplane, because it is fascinating. I mean, I can easily be flying an airplane, a commercial airplane that is 20 years old, and I can guarantee you 20 years ago, they were not built with any sort of cybersecurity standard. So how are you bolting that on in today's world? It needs to be talked about, and that's what's driving me is sort of a selfish interest of getting more attention paid to this space.
I mean, I hate flying, so like I completely support that.
Hey everyone, my name is Tom Van Norman with ICS Village. We started ICS Village here 11 years ago. Time flies. So we are a registered nonprofit. We go many conferences throughout the year. We have sponsors, we have grants, we have all that fun stuff. But we started it 11 years ago, just a bunch of people that answered a call for villages, I think it was, and applied for it and went. The reason I got into it was because back then, and not so much now, but a little bit now, we'd have people up on the stage, whether it's DEF CON or in a magazine or whatever, talking about hacking that PLC, hacking this thing, and they're full of shit. They're just wrong on what they're saying. So I come from control systems, engineering, technician, all that stuff out in the field doing things. And when we see people up on stage saying, oh, we can do this thing with that thing, all right, maybe, but it doesn't matter. It really does not matter. So instead of countering that person saying, hey, you really don't know, let's educate, let's uplift, let's go and spread, instead of spreading FUD, let's go and show people what you can do, what matters, because not everything matters, right? We can secure your control system 80% pretty easy. The other 10% is hard, and the other 10% is extremely hard. So let's educate, let's make it awareness, let's do things for the community, the people's things, and along the way, let's bring new blood in. We're all getting old. We're all gonna retire here, right? And let's bring new people in.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Just wanted to say a couple things. Yeah, sorry. I'll say a couple things. So, Pedro and I, we are the village leads, right? And then Ray's, we brought him on this year to just do, I think it's just an outstanding job setting up these creator stages. Main focus for this right here is we wanted to kind of like uplift a lot of the content that all the villages are bringing to DEF CON and give it, recorded space. I know it's outside of the village spaces, so it's not as conducive as what some of you guys want all the time. But we really wanted to like sort of start up branding a lot of the content that you're bringing, and that way we can have both the village sponsors or village brand into it as well, and on top of that as DEF CONs. The main thing though that like Pedro and I see for ourselves is we're kind of the middleman between DEF CON and the villages. Villages come to us and they have these crazy ideas of things that they're going to bring this year, and we have to figure out, okay, how do we scope and tailor this with DEF CON to make sure that they can bring what they want to bring. Namely, Nina brought some really, really cool stuff this year. One's like a giant robot.
I can talk about that.
Okay, I'm sorry. But all those things, basically, they come with a cost in the sense of like square footage, which we have a finite amount for. So like for us, it is playing the middleman between DEF CON and the village leads, and making sure that we can support them as best as we possibly can. And also at the same time, sometimes the requests of like, hey, we need 20,000 square feet. We're like, do you really though? We maybe tailor that down a little bit. But I think Pedro and I, like, we see the villages as, some of the premier content at DEF CON. The value that they bring is outstanding. A lot of the pen testing that occurs here is world class. The value, the return on investment, a lot of the sponsors have when they come and they bring their devices, their vehicles, parts of their planes, the whole 9 yards to DEF CON. And the amount of research, CVEs that are produced by these villages is outstanding. And in one weekend, in comparison to like if you were to quantify that on the amount of pen tests and the amount of money they'd have to spend in the normal market, it's insane. So I mean, Pedro and I are huge fans, obviously, because we stick around and keep doing this for some reason. But we also wanted to say thank you.
So, Biohacking Village has been around for 10 years. I've run it for 9. My first year of being with the Biohacking Village, every single time on that pamphlet that they give you was completely wrong. So I sat in the room, and at some point they were like, "You keep sitting here. What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I want to be part of this. Let's hook up. Let's do this." So anyway, I've run it for 9 years. We have 5 different labs. The device lab, which is all the manufacturers, the medical device manufacturers bring their wares, hardware, software, firmware, embedded, whatever, and they put that in front of the table, and they ask the hacker community to break their shit. It is not hyperbole. Over the last 16 hours, there have been 42 vulnerabilities found in from 10 medical device manufacturers, 25 devices. These are devices, most of these devices are things that currently live in hospitals. So in that room is $3.5 billion worth of medical devices and about $4 trillion worth of brain power and IP. We also have a capture the flag, tabletop exercises, talks, and something else that I never remember, workshops. That's what we do. So all of this takes 360 days to put together, 2 days to load in, and 3 days for a conference. We've already started talking about the badge for next year because this is very consuming. And I agree with a lot of the things that you said about how DEF CON is trying to help us and work through this. Biohacking Village has 3 times more space than we had last year, which is why this year we could bring a surgical robot. So the pincers are as big as like the ends of 2 needles, trying to get tiny microscopic things out of people's bodies. That's what we have over there. If you have an opportunity, you should definitely play with it because this surgical robot lives in the hospitals. Our sponsors are the $1 million, $1 billion people. I am really harsh with people about how they need to be here and show up. The Biohacking Village has a partnership with the FDA where it's called We Hired Hackers, that the manufacturers can write on their submissions that they were hacked at DEF CON. This is a big deal to them. They understand the reasons behind it. The other part is the Biohacking Village is a CNA. So if something is found and they can't report it, the manufacturers can't report it themselves, we will happily report it for them. There was something else that I was going to say. It was probably important. Oh, why do I do this? I am really fucking overwhelmed and tired of patients going into hospitals and being in a world of hurt, and then the hospital doesn't work. So they may have to have their surgeries redone, or they don't understand what's happening to them, and nobody is able to explain it. Nobody should go to the hospital, get attached to a machine and go, "What is this? What am I doing here?" And nobody has a real answer. When the blue screen of death recently happened because of CrowdStrike, I wasn't working in the hospital, I was working in the hospital. And it was just, I was blown away by the nurses and the staff that were like, "We got to go back to paper, and I don't even know what the sheet says. I don't know how to do this." So for me, this is one of those things that like sits in my soul about, we got to fix this. This is enough. We got to do it.
I appreciate that because I had malpractice as a kid in surgery, and I do not trust doctors or any hospitals or any of that. So thank you for doing that.
I want to add to that a little bit. So, I talked about like, for me, the personal thing, like the mentoring and kind of bringing new people into the field. One thing I love about being part of the Blue Team Village is like, we cover all of these areas. Like the people that come to learn about IR, threat hunting, CTI and things like that span every single field on this table. Like, these are the people that are going out to do defense when there's a cyber attack against a hospital or an airline company or whatever. Though apparently it's really hard to hack planes, which is definitely good. Makes me feel better as someone who hates flying. And then that's just, to me, like seeing all of these pieces come together is really, really cool. And I've learned a lot from it. Yeah, just love it.
Got any more questions for us, Honey?
Can we ask Honey questions?
Maybe we could talk about.
Sure.
I've got a neat question. So Nina, you talked about how you're able to have the companies actually like say, "Hey, we were hacked at DEF CON." How are you able to frame that in a positive light? Because we've tried So a lot of the aircraft and associated systems are certified, and so if anything happens to them, they are no longer certified. And so there's a very much a line between, hey, us tinkering with things and what actually goes on an airplane. How are you able to get these manufacturers to say, hey, we want to do this. We want to brag about how we brought it to DEF CON, because on our end, on the aviation side, people are nervous about saying, I brought my airplane, I brought my systems to DEF CON. We're slowly making progress. But yeah, how have you done that?
A lot of aggressive hope and prayer. So my background is I've worked in hospitals for 20 years, and being in the hospital, so I worked on the electronic medical record and then the APIs and putting all of the devices into the EMR, so all of the information would sync, and just watching how all of it happened, I was super annoyed. The moment is that one of the FDA humans is the medical device manufacturer. That's bullshit. The medical device cybersecurity director for CDRH at the FDA. She used to work for one of the medical device manufacturers, and now she runs the thing at the FDA. And she is super invested in ensuring patient safety. We're all patients at the end of the day. Whether you go to the doctor or not, you have an EMR somewhere. You have an MRN, medical record number, somewhere. So we are all affected by this no matter what happens. When they come up and they're like, this isn't for me, I'm not okay with this. I'm like, sure, but I'm aggressive. I think we all know that at this point. I will go up to them and tell them your revenue cycles will be affected by this. The ROI of them coming to DEF CON and bringing their devices here will say, you did this, you trusted this community to do the hard thing for you. What they do here is worth, with the vulnerabilities and the pen tests here are worth about $350 to like $750,000 that they're getting for like nothing to do this. So they can come here, get all of their shit tested hardcore, go home and fix it. No big deal. They can report it or just say it's a finding and go fix it.
How do you track it?
So great. If I have to get involved, that is a very different level of annoyance for them. They have vulnerability disclosure programs that I'm like, everything. That's a great question. So the device lives here. Oh, sorry.
So I was just asking, like, how does she ensure that these vulnerabilities that they're finding actually get fixed? So it's cool to find all this stuff, but a lot of times you can't guarantee they get fixed. So just curious on how you track and monitor to ensure these vulnerabilities are getting fixed.
So every day I send an email back to everybody stating, this is the number of vulnerabilities we have. I talk to the hackers around, I talk to the manufacturers, and I collate, make sure everything is correct. They have their own vulnerability disclosure programs that everything is supposed to be sent to immediately. If they have to go through me not just me, but through the Biohacking Village as a CNA, that becomes a CISA issue that they don't want to get involved with. So they're pretty good at fixing the things.
Legislation on your side.
We do have legislation on our side.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's why you're making more progress than most of us.
Yeah, I guess. But so somebody at work told me I was wrong about a piece of law. And I was like, I'm not wrong about what this says. And I started law school. So nobody likes me right now because I'm
We like
always
you,
like,
Nina.
it's not what that
like you.
says.
so Nina, I have to say, I had to disagree.
I'm gonna,
I had to disagree with most of this stuff here. All right. Well, first, you can talk about hospitals. We all need healthcare. Either we need it today, tomorrow, whatever. We all need healthcare. If we don't have the ICS stuff, guess what doesn't work? Your robot, your other stuff, right? But where I disagree with a lot of people here, I think coming here finding vulnerabilities is a horrible idea. From a business, I'm a business owner, is a horrible idea. Why? I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. Now I leave here saying my device is secure because X, Y, and Z found vulnerabilities. Completely bad idea. Horrible idea. Where if I go and if I pay ABC company, they still might not find the vulnerabilities, but now I have somebody to hold it accountable. Now I have somebody to go back and say, hey, you know what, guys, you said you gave me a report and this low-hanging fruit thing was not found. Where I come to any conference and find a vulnerability and I leave with that good feeling that, hey, we found, what'd you say, how many vulnerabilities? 42. Interesting. Really interesting.
Do they ever test them out?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it.
Those are tested before they get here.
But so if they're tested before they get here, how do they find 42?
Do you want to go to the logistics of these companies?
Oh,
That's not what we're here for.
We're leading, is a leading question. Leading
Okay,
question.
I'm gonna interrupt and throw something else out there. So I think you can tell by this point that we're all really passionate about what we do, and we've all been doing it for a very long time, which brings up a really good point. So villages are separate organizations. We have very few people that have been invested for a long time. All of us, I think, pretty much we start planning pretty much right after DEF CON. We have a hot wash. We kind of review lessons, go through lessons learned, make some changes. At the end of the day, it's usually a few people at the very top of the organization that define like what the village does. And one of the issues that, I think we have with that is people get burnt out. I don't know how Nina is functioning right now. I don't know how I'm functioning right now. I went to a metal festival in Germany and then flew in from Germany on Tuesday and hit the ground running because we had unload set up Wednesday, 12 hours in the village on Thursday. I didn't eat until like 9 p.m. I never made it to merch. I have like one 4XL, like is what I got. So I think it's like this kind of passion is great, but like, I don't know. I guess maybe my question to other panelists is how do you work on getting other people involved? And because none of us are paid for this either. At least I'm not. I don't know. Are you getting paid? No. Yeah, no. This is all volunteer work. We have full-time jobs. So how do each of your villages handle like getting people involved so that you don't have to be completely run into the ground?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll start from the Car Hacking Village side. We go to a lot of different events as well. So we don't just go to DEF CON. We do Black Hat Middle East. We do a lot of different global events as well. So we try to get as much recognition as possible. And through that, typically we find a lot of people that have no clue what any of this stuff is or how to get into car hacking. So I usually like to try to bring them as volunteers because a lot of those people are pretty driven to want to learn and grow. And I don't mind if you don't know anything, we can teach you that. As long as you have motivation and drive, then we will welcome you in and bring you to help volunteer. So that's kind of been my philosophy. As long as I can find someone that's driven and motivated, I can teach them the ropes and bring them in. And usually that's helped us a lot. So a lot of our volunteers within the last 2 years have been younger kids from graduating right out of college, some that are even younger than that, that are just really eager and seeing this stuff in the news about cars getting hacked and hearing about these things and just wanting to be involved. And then, they send us an email or they see us at a conference and we're just like, hey, you seem pretty motivated and driven. Here's my contact information. Stay in contact with me and we'd love to have you volunteer. It's worked really well for us, but it is kind of more ad hoc. So it is difficult, but we've tried to do call for volunteers in the past and it gets a little bit chaotic because what you'll learn is you get a bunch of people that just want to get a badge and they just want to get access to the event. And that's the most difficult thing to do is how do we find people that are going to be dedicated and stay in the village and not wander off and go do other things because we want to ensure we put on a show for you guys. We want to make sure you guys can actually come and hack a car or come and hack a medical device or rip apart an airplane or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's definitely a difficult thing to do. Call for volunteers is hard. I recommend trying to go to more events, but then that exhausts us all. And on the exhaustion piece, if nobody see me yesterday, I had an IV in my arm. I don't even drink. I was just so dead and exhausted and didn't eat or dehydrated. So yeah, we're all very stubborn, dedicated people and we love what we do and we're just going to keep doing it until we can't.
So we take a similar model to Car Hacking Village. We don't do call for volunteers. We just get inundated with people that hit us up on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, say, hey, we want to do something. Great. Come here, talk to us, and they don't show. And it takes a lot of recycles. Agree with Justin here that, hey, when you have a person that comes up and says, I really want to help out here, fantastic. Now you approached me. Now you volunteered. Now let's go do this. It may or may not work out, but tell you what, we have people, I've been doing this 11 years. We still have people from 10, 11 years ago that come around, hey, how can I help? They're not involved anymore officially, but how can we help? What can we do? Do you need that stuff moved, set up? And we do that. The one thing that we struggled with a long time is money, right? So DEF CON, very, very thankful we get the badges we get, but you know what? It's going to cost us almost $40,000 to be here. You all got $40,000, right? Real money. This is real money that's coming out of our.
The budgets are wild.
So the one thing that we do now is we find sponsors, companies, people that want to be involved that pay their own way. INL has escape rooms down there. Great, bring that stuff. You're paying your own way. You're a lab, you're a corporation, whatever. that 30, 40,000 bucks is just for the village volunteers to come here, travel, shipping, stuff like that. Our shipping today will be probably 3, 4,000 bucks going on. I don't know what it was coming in when you get the bill yet, but it's real money that, and it used to come out of our own pockets. Now we get sponsors and stuff to do this, but I saw you got a tractor trailer down there. I bet you that was expensive. Even if they donated it, there's still a cost there. There's hours of coordination. There's time. There's effort, and you probably have a real job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Nina, you work too, don't you? I mean, yeah. All right. So we have probably thousands of hours between all of us leading up to this event, starting next week. For next year, and hopefully you invite us back next year, because if not, we're gonna be really pissed if we start planning for next year and you don't invite us. But yeah, anybody wants to get involved, I'd highly recommend getting involved. A couple years ago, we brought in the maritime. So wave, I see you guys back there. There you go. The maritime folks join ICS. Why? Because it's floating control system, isn't it? So we have a lot of really, really, really cool stuff there, but we can't come here without people saying, hey, I wanted to do that, this or that, and I want to help, I want to volunteer. And it could be raising money, it could be maintaining a website, it could be moving those boxes from A to B. So, come down, talk, and we'll get you involved.
I just want to reframe real quick. How many of you this is your first DEF CON? How many of you have gone to all the villages or seen all the villages?
There's a lot of villages.
I just wanted to see. Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, agreeing with Justin too, with like actually going up at an event. I think some of the best volunteers that we kind of get at out of DEF CON are the ones that either one, they never even signed up for a call for volunteer, they just offer to help, and they're the one who ends up staying like the entire time, and they end up being like a long-term volunteer, and it's so helpful to help like delegate out tasks with like the crowd control and whatnot. And then also like people that just have been with us from the beginning, or like they're on a shift and then they notice people aren't showing up to volunteer, and then they end up sticking around. Like, it's so helpful to us to be able to put the village together, because I think people don't realize how stressful it is. Like, all of us leading up, like everyone probably wants to kill each other, like leading up to DEF CON, but we all love each other. Yeah.
I think going kind of off of what Tom was talking about with the logistics of getting things here and doing, bringing a tractor here. So we've been trying to do this tractor trailer or this tractor for the last 3 years. It's last year they pulled out 2 weeks before. So we had everything planned. We had everything ready to go. We worked with them. We figured out we can get the vehicle in and everything. And the company was like, nope, cold feet, and left. So we have to really quickly in 2 weeks figure out, okay, how do we bring another vehicle in? How do we do all this? So there's a lot of complexity and logistics that go on behind the scenes to ensure that there's actually a tractor here. So this year, we're really happy to have one. And the company that brought it actually gave us their diagnostics laptop as well. And they said, have fun with it. Do whatever you want. We're shredding it in a machine when it's done, so you guys can have fun. So it's really cool to see the progress that's happened over the years, and the fact that now these companies are this open and willing to work with us and actually willing to give us their diagnostics laptop. I think that's wild. But yeah, it's a lot of logistics going on behind the scenes.
I mean, that makes me really glad that at BTV we have swag. Like, that's our shipping. Nothing crazy, just swag.
We had a semi-truck, a Rivian, and a Tesla. So the Rivian was driven here. The semi-truck, it was SAIA. So if anybody knows SAIA, they're all over the U.S. So it wasn't really hard for them to pick a truck out and get it here. But yeah, it's a lot of logistics going on.
So I think one of the common law things that we all do with each other is we have chat groups with each other. And when something happens, it's, did you see this? How's it affecting you? How's it affecting me? How do we do the things? And so I'm like you now. I lost my train of
That
thought.
always results in Nina calling us.
I do a lot.
So Hody's up here like, it's really weird that all the villages are now asking the same question at the same time.
I know their call has occurred as soon as we all, Pedro and I start getting hit up by all of you at the same time with the exact same question.
I don't know why they keep doing this. We must feel ganged up on like all the time. We actually do like them. They're great people. Thank you for what you do.
Another interesting perspective I'll help you guys understand, and don't kick me for this one, but DEF CON pays us nothing. They give us nothing. All they did this year, which was really awesome, they gave us hotel rooms. I really appreciated that. And that was something new that they did. So it's nice to see that Pedro and Honey are actually trying to take care of us more. In previous years, it's kind of been like, hey, call for villages. Cool, do your own thing. Come on in. So it's nice to see that DEF CON as an organization is actually caring about what we're bringing and what we're doing and trying to bring some value back to us to help with what we're doing. So sorry about that.
No, you're good.
He just whispered to me to be nice. I am
Well,
going to be nice.
let me. So, I think a good thing, and it's not in a perfect state yet, right? Well, I will say on the sponsorship side, Pedro and I, we started getting a little bit more recognition in some of the other places that we go. People are coming up to us. Our networks are saying, "Hey, Pedro and Honey, they're the village leads." And so, we've had a couple sponsors walk up to us, or people from different companies saying, "Hey, we would like to sponsor a village." So we've tried to marry some of that stuff up. I will say that I think a couple of them worked out and a few of them didn't, but like we're always trying to do that. And I know Kevin from DEF CON is definitely trying to do that. I think this is a little bit of a weird year with the Audible moving from Caesars to LVCC. I think that there's a little bit of gun shyness on some of those sides. So I think that we can definitely do a much better job for you guys. I'm hoping after this year that we get back on track with some of it. He mentioned the hotel rooms. So there is basically a fund that comes in through, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. So we get a fund basically. Yeah. We get a fund of money, right? And it's decided on how it's easiest to divvy it out. Previously, we had done some stuff with them where we were able to supply them funds for food during the con, because that's, I know, a major pain point for them because they're stuck inside of a village. Food is, 10 miles away because, we're stuck inside of a convention center and you're not allowed to bring outside food and drink inside. So that was a pain point we tried to help alleviate. This year, I thought we were doing it again, but I was told not. So we got hotel rooms for you guys. And once again, Pedro and I are pushing for better execution on a lot of these things. We had everything set up and we had a different timeline than what we were given at the end of the day. So we're always pushing and trying to drive towards getting you guys as much information as possible. That way it's easier for you to plan and execute on things. That way you're also not spending money on something that we're going to hopefully provide to you type deal as well. But yeah.
I had a question for everybody here.
Can I go real quick?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Right. So this is a point of admiration for real. I've done this for 10 years, right? And I think 2 years ago when you took over, was it 2?
Pedro and I took over.
Yeah. I had so many long discussions with them because I am really, village building is my passion. So many conversations with both of them to be like, this is how we as a group like to do the things. This is how we need timelines. We need help doing this, whatever. And they actually listened, which from the large DEF CON corporation moment perspective, super helpful. So for me, at least this year, it was honestly, this is the best year for the Biohacking Village. Hardly had to do anything because it was so well executed. So
I would agree.
That's good for you.
I would agree.
even
Even with
agree.
changing facilities and buildings and all that chaos that happened, you guys still smoothed it out and made it pretty easy for us. So yeah, big kudos to you guys for that.
I'll have you guys know that in January, February, Pedro and I had everything laid out, mapped out, every process, every system. And then, we get a phone call of, hey, stop. And
That's a good point because all of us were planning for whatever it was. All of us were planning for our other hotels and we were super invested because we knew the blueprints, we were there. And then suddenly it was like, fuck you, DEF CON changed. It's like, oh God, what to wear? What are we doing now? And then it was
our messaging was softer than
It
that,
was
just so
nice.
you're aware.
and it was all of us going, well, where are we going to be? What are we going to do? How are we shipping? What's the cost? What are we doing? I know this is recorded. I curse a lot. Everybody knows. So it was, I think you softened it. Yes. And I think the transition to this year was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
I honestly felt so bad for both of you. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, they're going to be slammed. So Blue Team Village is pretty organized. I mean, I like to joke that we're the most organized village because Blue Teamers are the people that have jobs and, are professionals.
I don't have a job.
Them's fighting words, yeah.
I'm going to work tomorrow.
Tell that to my employer, please. So I do have a question.
But no, I'm not done yet. Hang on.
You're going to give me a job?
You can interview with me. We'll see how it goes. It'll be fine. But I think wait, I was going somewhere with that one. I think you maybe it was my turn of thoughts.
We're all dead.
I think what I was really getting at was like, we're really organized and we kind of have this consistent way that we do things and whatnot. So we were trying to do as much as possible by ourselves and answer our own questions and not like rely on Honey and Pedro so much because we knew that they were getting inundated with stuff. So gonna jump on the train of like, you guys are doing a great job. So can we actually give Honey and Pedro a round of applause? Pedro's coming up here. Pedro.
I've been waiting all day to say, no, I'm just kidding. I just want to say that I picked up a few nuggets here and there, and I would just like to start off by saying that Honey and I are also not paid by DEF CON. We are stipend volunteers. So just keep that in mind when everybody's asking for meetings nonstop. We also have families and lives and work and et cetera, right? I have 2 dogs that I love dearly. My children think that I love my dogs more than I love them, and sometimes they're right. My dogs never talk back. Regarding volunteers, a lot of first timers always ask, how can I get involved? I'd just like to shout out to one of the new to be goons next year. His name is Irf. He showed up early. I think it was Tuesday. He was like, hey, I'm here. Do you guys need anything? Helped us just like with loading in, counting badges. We had already counted badges at least 5 times. And since he was fresh blood, I was like, okay, do me a favor, open these boxes and start counting them one by one. We're talking about 930 plus badges. Then he was like, hey, if we're done here, I'm going to go check out and see if any of the villages need help. So next thing I know, he's down at Biohacking Village running cable. That was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He came back to help us. And then he was like, okay, cool. I'm going back to Biohacking. So honestly, reaching out via LinkedIn and trying to be like, hey, cool, let me in, and then never showing up, that's going to happen. But if you really want to get involved, the easiest thing to do is just to show up and just be like, I'm here, what do you need? The other,
Reach out to you said LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a big thing.
I mean, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn if you can find me.
personally.
That's a contest, right? The other thing I wanted to mention is that I want to say that I picked up a small tidbit over at Car Hacking. I do vulnerability research in embedded systems. And I picked up a small tidbit. I'm contemplating buying a car and I'm going for the jugular. So on Nina's behalf, I do think that these manufacturers should be working with us, to try to find these vulnerabilities, get them disclosed and patched before it ends up in the public consumption. And so reaching over to ICS, like if you want to live in the black box, people like me are going to find it. I already know what's there. I'm not going to just put it out there because I want to be the first one to go after it.
So I'm kind of in between Tom and Nina, literally. And one of the things we did this year, I still have a question I want to go back to that kind of goes into volunteers, but one of the things we actually were able to do this year is get the auto ISAC out here to help. So for those that don't know what an ISAC is, it's an information sharing and analysis center. They have one for automotive. So this is the first year they came out and sponsored and actually tried to be a part of DEF CON, which normally they're not because they're more on the blue team and monitoring side and trying to fix things. But this is one way we're trying to bridge the gaps, is bringing, companies or organizations like that here to help when we do find things or we do have issues. They can at least work right away with the OEMs and submit that to them. So I just wanted to say that. But the question I had, and I know we don't have much time because I can see that clock back there. How many volunteers do you guys all have? And how do you work with them regarding like times and shifts and stuff like that? I'll start on my side and then I'll let it go down. So on our side, we have 35 volunteers and then about 20 other sponsors and people that come in. So I have about 60 to 70 people I deal with throughout this event that are always asking me for information and how do they, need this or need that and what time do they have to be at places. So outside of the logistics of planning and getting people here while we're here, it's just chaos. Like I'm literally trying to manage 70 people right now and it's insane because they're all like, hey, where are we eating? Where is this going on? Where is that going on? So it's very complex and difficult to do. And I'm curious on how some of you guys handle that because I could use some advice.
So we have about 70 volunteers, if not maybe 80. And we have 2 leads that lead that, Mike and Danielle. And Mike actually built out this whole custom portal for us this year. I think he's trying to tell other villages that he'll help y'all get it too. It's just something he customly built to be able to kind of assign shifts. Because we do like we were mentioning earlier, we don't always have volunteers show up. So we always have to kind of reach out to others and whatnot, but we do have those 2 people that are managing those, and we do have around 70 people that are volunteering throughout the con. And it's a lot of names to keep track of as well. And I'll let Matt.
Yeah, so we have internal volunteers, and then a lot of our activities, the companies that bring their own activities, they are sort of in charge of their own. So if you're a Boeing, if you're a Lockheed, and you bring 10 people, it's up to you how you want to staff your activity. Or Embry-Riddle through the aviation ISAC, they brought 15 students, and they also just, so for their activity, we let them handle their own scheduling. There's some activities where it's literally 2 people and they are there every single hour for the entire con. Then internally we have our own set of volunteers, about 20 or so people to help with workshops, to help with just organizing everything. And thankfully we have a volunteer coordinator that takes care of all that. And yeah, we're trying some new software this year. We'll see if that actually was a success or not. I think so, just to try and get things organized, because all too often we're just shooting from the hip and saying, okay, I've got a need and who can do it right now.
Yeah, we have, we kind of split them up a little bit. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have board of directors. So this year it's basically myself and 2 of the other directors, shout out Crime Santa and Omen Scan, that we kind of start the initial planning, and then we kind of downstream to consistent staff that we have. So basically our leads. So we have like Daniela and Satan who manage all the volunteers. We have Definga dealing with the CTF that we have. We do our own CTF. A whole bunch of other people that are involved in kind of organizing things. Cheerio handle all the workshops, things like that. And then we have also some day volunteers where we'll assign doors and kind of that crowd management, info booth, things like that. I would say staff wise, so three directors, staff wise, maybe 10 to 15 that are involved in the actual planning phase. And then we wind up with anywhere between 30 and 70 volunteers, depending on who shows up. So
People volunteer.
yeah, and the badge thing is always challenging because we do get badges from DEF CON that we try to give to the volunteers, but we want to make sure that they go to the people that show up year after year, and that's always a challenge.
I knew the spice was coming.
It's not even that spicy. So, yeah.
Well, since we're on that topic, let's talk about badges. So as village logistics advocates, we have a finite pool of badges that we can sprinkle across all the content creators. We have secret shoppers. I don't know if you know this, but we have secret shoppers that are evaluating you. You'll never pick them out. And then we get feedback. And based off of that feedback, that's how we're also providing quantifiable, metrics to DEF CON to try to advocate for more badges for villages. So one of the things that constantly comes across to us is how can I get more badges? There's always going to be a limit, right? Just because each village thinks that they need the most badges and each village thinks they need the most space, but we only have so much to spread around. So you will normally get questions from us, and we will usually ask for justifications. Sometimes, depending on the request, we'll even go as far as provide us a schedule of who's working for how long.
I'll comment on that. Do you really want that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going there.
So we've been doing this for 11 years now, and we're going to be $30,000-$40,000 into this. A lot of freaking money, right? Not even counting the hardware or any, and our sponsors will go and bring stuff, and we're not counting that money. I don't think I've ever been asked by DEF CON what we put into things, how many thousands of hours and how many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're asking for a badge that, I don't know, what's this thing, $60, $70 for a badge? 480. No. That's retail. What's the thing cost? $75. So when we're putting in tens of thousands of dollars, and that those questions never come back to us. And hey, what did you put in? But we're constantly fighting for poker chips for food or a couple hotel rooms. I think we're all extremely grateful for everything. It still seems one way on what we're doing here. So we got 40 badges. We bought 20. So we have 60 badges. put $15,000 into the pot here for the other badges. All right, 10 minutes. Sell us these things at cost. These things aren't $500. They're $75. Sell them to us at cost because we are down in that village nonstop.
I'll give you the CEO response type style because I don't want to get myself into trouble. I will say that everything you see at DEF CON costs money.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
everything in your village, you pay nothing to be in the village. The
Yep.
space, the floor, the real estate, all the requests that you have, DEF CON is paying for that. Not going to go into how much that is because even I personally don't know how much that is because we're not privy to that knowledge, right? But I know that DEF CON does invest a lot of money for the real estate, for the space, and for a lot of the logistics that go into it. I'm not taking away from anything that the villages do as far as that goes, because I understand Nina and a few of the other leads have kind of expressed to me like, hey, this is what we're investing in this. And trust me, Pedro and I are cognizant of it. And that's why we're trying to push for more sponsorship and everything else like that for you. From DEF CON's perspective, the badge does mean something more than just the $70. That is access to the con itself. And so there is a drastic difference between, hey, I have 50 volunteers who are coming and they're working the entire time. Like, okay, that's easier justification. Or I have somebody who's going to come teach a 30-minute workshop. I want a badge. There's a drastic difference between the two of those. So like,
We don't do that.
I'm not saying you, but there are some instances where we are trying to kind of clean that up because one, it's not fair to ICS Village if we're giving 80 badges to somebody and that's what they're doing. And you're, sitting at 50, right? Or some of those lines, right?
Someone got 80
We want to make
badges.
sure it's equitable across the. We want to make sure these are all fake numbers. It's okay. We want to make sure that it's equitable across the board, right? And that, the support that we're divvying out is appropriate. A lot of times we're also not making the decision. We are advocating for you. When we ask for the justifications, not because Pedro and I want to be nosy and be inside your business, is that way when we take that information and we're going and we're advocating, we're arguing for you. There are behind backroom deals that we're trying to work for you to ensure that you guys get as much support as we possibly can for you. And that's our entire role in this. So
I'm going to pivot off that real
I
quick.
had one quick thing to add.
Hold on.
It's really small.
I just want to say one thing, 6-minute warning.
I just want to say, I think maybe when Kevin or you guys took over, I can't remember, but prior to that, us village leads and the ones that run everything, we used to only get like 3 or 4 of these. So with having a staff of 30 or 40 people and only getting 3 or 4 of these and trying to bring people in and out while we're setting up is very difficult. So it's been very nice that over the last few years, they've been able to get us like 20 badges or 30 badges because that's actually the amount of staff that we have. And then we don't have the issues of people coming in and out during setup. So I just want to say that there has been a lot of improvements in the badges and getting us that access because prior to it, it was like they give us 4, maybe 5. And it's like, it's not really helping us. So they have definitely helped us a lot more on that side.
So what I was going to add, I think someone, I heard the word equitable and it triggered something. So the main reason that I think, we really want to have more, badges is because we have volunteers year over year who are newer to the industry, could really benefit from being here at DEF CON, but don't have the financial resources to afford much. So they're splitting shitty hotel rooms, getting cheap flights, and $400+ for a badge is actually quite a lot. So, and that's one of the things that we can quantifiably provide to those volunteers and staff. That's ultimately, like, we're here to provide content to people. I think a secondary reason that we're here is to help people grow in their careers and to help them network. Like, as Blue Team Village, we've had so many people get jobs because of volunteering for the village. Actually, my last 2 jobs I got because of people I knew from Blue Team Village. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I couldn't afford to come here and volunteer originally.
My question is, what are you doing with any of the money you might make? Because is what we do is all the money we're making during this. So we sell badges, obviously. We're a nonprofit organization as well. The way our board works is all the money we make from this, we dump back into this. None of us make any of it. None of us keep any of it. That's why we're giving away a car this year. But we take our money and we pour it right back into DEF CON. So I'm just curious what you guys are doing with your money, because I try to, like this year, I knew one of my volunteers that came out, a younger kid, kind of from a family that doesn't have a lot of finances, and I was able to, buy his flight and help him get out here. And I've done that with a lot of other people as well. I know, like, Kamel's right here in the stands. He's from Japan. We flew him out here. So we try to do the best we can to fund our staff as well outside of what DEF CON gives us based off of what you guys are giving to us through, badges or other things like that. So
Yeah, that's a constant thing that we're working on, trying to bring it back to supporting the people that that make this village possible. And I think Nina and I've had some slight conversations about that. So maybe I'll hand it over to you and you can add to that for 2 minutes.
5-minute warning.
50 seconds on the clock. So just circling back to the other question, there's 8 people on the core for us. And then this year we have 25 people that are bringing people in through the Hippocratic oath thing. But at the end of the day, there's about 300 people that I am managing that, one, I've probably never met before, and two, that are highly committed to doing village stuff. A lot of them don't end up leaving the village because it's highly interactive, it's immersive, all of that. I don't remember your question. What do we do with the money? Is that what we do with the money? Sorry.
Like supporting volunteers.
Oh, supporting volunteers. There's a lot of work that goes into this. So I pay for at least the core people. I pay for their flights. I pay for their hotels. I give them a stipend, and everybody is on their way because, again, it's 8 hours that the attendees get to be in the room, but it's like a 12-hour day for all of us because they're still set up and because
14, 15, most.
oh no, I mean during the con because before that we're here for like forever. And it's ensuring that the attendees get the experience that they came here for, right? You're paying a lot for this conference. We want you to have everything that you need to, 1, be involved, 2, 3, oh my God, English is hard today. 2, be invested. The other part of this is, what do we do with the money? It just gets poured back in. This year, Biohacking Village is functioning at a loss because there's, to a lot of the points, right? There's a lot of investment that we had to do. We are not getting a lot of the money back because we just, our prices aren't high because we need everybody to do the things. So at the end of the day, it's what conference are we going to next? How do we get support from the people in this room, the sponsors, the community, DEF CON, things like that.
Any last questions before we have to stop?
There's a question.
We got a question out here.
About half.
So
So
we're,
we're not associated with.
yeah, we're not none of us are subsidiaries. So he asked us, are we all 501(c)(3)s and are we subsidiaries of, English is hard. Are we subsidiaries of DEF CON? And the answer of the 501(c) is it's spotty. Some of us are, some of us might not be, but none of us are subsidiaries of DEF CON. We're all independent organizations.
Yeah, so a lot of the villages, though, and a lot of the newer ones, I think, are the ones that aren't 501(c)(3)s. We encourage them to push that way because it actually changes a lot of the landscape for them at DEF CON, and it opens up some additional funding avenues potentially in the future for them as well. So,
What is the corporate structure of DEF CON itself?
That's probably outside the scope of this panel.
Yeah, and we got 2 minutes.
Tony doesn't want to answer that either.
I definitely don't want to answer that.
Yeah, I guess
Maybe do like a 30-second, like for each wrap up or something.
yeah.
Go for it.
You want to go first? For what?
Yeah.
Second wrap up. Oh, come down to ICS Village. You'll see everything we have: escape rooms, and sponsors, volunteers, all that other stuff. Got really cool hands-on things. Remember, ICS is in manufacturing cars in the hospitals. We do have jobs also. Airports. Without ICS, airports don't work. So we're everywhere. Come down, talk to us. Yes, here.
Sweet, Tom. So you're going to take my job, right?
Yes.
You own all of us, so it sounds like Tom's next. Sweet. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So Justin, Carrick Village, definitely come check us out. We got a tractor here, semi truck. We have Rivian who actually put a CTF in their vehicle, so you can actually hack their vehicle. Obviously, it's not a vulnerability in the car. They made it vulnerable themselves and put flags in it. So it's really cool. And we're also giving away a Tesla for our first place prize. And outside of that, we've also done stuff for kids this year. We have a kids badge that we've been giving away to the kids. And yeah, we're just trying to do as much as we can to give back to the community and making sure that all the money that you guys might give us, either through donations or through badges, we pour it back into this event. So that way we can keep running it every year and go bigger and bigger if we can.
Everything they said, and come to the Biohacking Village. You are all patients. You should all be very concerned about the vulnerabilities in these medical devices because they will affect your life. And every single one of these villages impacts Biohacking Village and the medical care you do get.
I'll keep it brief and just to say, if you're thinking about getting involved with the village, go volunteer. It'll change your life.
come see the Red Team Village. We have lots of workshops and talks still today. Most of us are, I think, closing probably like around like 12-ish today, but still come see us. We'd love to have you guys. Lots of swag at Red Team Village still. So please come and take it all.
Okay. Airplanes are cool. Space is cool. Drones are cool. Come see us in Aerospace Village.
Pilots are cool.
My 10-second spiel is Pedro and I have quit at least 4 times each this year. The only reason that we're still around is because we've done it on alternating points, but also because of these amazing people, all the village leaders, they do an amazing job for, bringing content to DEF CON.
Thank
I'm
you.
just here for the swag.
And to hat cars.